Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in for another episode. I got my team partner, the one and only Drew Gill here. We are getting ready to do I want to make sure I get this right. General Tire Team Series event in Erie, Pennsylvania. It starts tomorrow. Was
Challenge
August 25th. Challenge Cup. I forgot that part. Dang, yeah. We're kicking it off tomorrow. So we're up against, what do we got? We got
Ron and Keith.
Ron and Keith, so Ron Nelson, Keith Carson,
Cole Floyd and Andy Morgan.
Cole and Andy.
And Nick LeBrun and Gerald Spore.
Yeah. Which is pretty stout competition, especially if we end up fishing some shallow related
Anywhere
stuff.
even remotely shallow is going to be an absolute. I mean, they're going to be hard to beat regardless, but if we're shallow, it's going to be an absolute dreadnought.
Yeah, and one of the issues with the team series, issues or rules, is we have no idea as to where we're going. We have to meet tomorrow morning at what are we? Wheels Up? Is that what he said? Wheels Up at 5:45. So we have to meet.
We're flying to the boat ramp.
Yeah, we have to meet at the hotel before 5:45, and then it sounds like we're jumping in a car with marshals and our camera guy, and they're going to drive us to an undisclosed location, which is not awesome for Drew and I, who I think are two very prepared individuals when it comes to tournaments. Like this has been stressful for me.
Yeah, like this, the whole concept of of having no practice, no information, and no idea where the tournament is it's an interesting concept. I mean, it's something that I find really cool. But on the other hand, I didn't really realize how much preparation I do for a tournament until I was basically allowed to do none. And it's like you feel like you're totally behind the eight ball, and you feel like, it's granted everybody's in the same boat here, but like as a preparator that I am, I feel totally out of my element with this. But I'm excited to go fishing. Now, granted, of all the places in the world where the location of the tournament doesn't necessarily, or location of the town doesn't necessarily disclose the location of the tournament, I don't know that that's going to be the case here in Erie, Pennsylvania this week. But the real question is, if you get put on the big lake, are you fishing in the bay or are you fishing on the lake? And that could look totally different depending on which one that is.
Yeah, and I mean, so just so everyone knows, we technically could be fishing anywhere within 60 miles of Erie, Pennsylvania, and we were not allowed. As soon as they announced Erie, Pennsylvania, we were not allowed to look at maps. We weren't allowed to look at Google Earth, to look at any lakes.
Yeah, we can't even research what water's around here. Like, there could be half a dozen fisheries that we didn't drive anywhere nearby coming on the interstate in, and like don't know that they're even there.
Yeah. The assumption on our part and the other anglers we talked to
being that it's hosted by Erie and the hotel is literally on the lake, that I'm sure Lake Erie will factor in.
We also were told that they will have chase boats behind us in case we end up breaking the boats in rough water, which leads me to believe it could be very much Lake Erie, whether that's Presque Isle Bay or the lake itself, which, you would think wouldn't really differ that much from tackle perspective, but like we loaded the boat tonight, so we don't even get to use our own boats. We're in a Ranger, and we loaded it up tonight, and we still have to have, even though it's potentially Lake Erie, we have to have everything for all largemouth aspects and smallmouth. So we put a pile of tackle in the boat tonight.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a mess, and like I'm gonna be honest, like I sat there pulling my hair out, staring at my rods, trying to figure out how I wanted to rig them, because the idea is like you want to be as prepared as you can be and hope that you kind of guess right on what to be ready for. But the other question is like, if you get put inland some way unexpectedly, or we get put in the bay, that tackle prep looks very different from the lake, and the ride around period could look a little different. So in the ride around, like if we get put on the main lake, the lake proper, like I want to be spending the entire ride around just looking. I don't want to spend any moments re-rigging. So I kind of rigged up a little bit more, not necessarily planning for the big lake, but the big lake is definitely the one where I want to have as much time to look as possible and not want to waste any time rigging. So if we get put inland or we get put in the bay, then I don't think ride around will be as valuable to look around, and I'll have a little bit more time to sit down and kind of readjust. But regardless, it's gonna be super interesting. It's a 6-hour day, so it's an hour and a half shorter than normal. This is like, in terms of things that have felt like a speed round or a fish off, like this feels like it. You got to make the top 2 of the 4 boats fishing tomorrow, which is another cool aspect, is there will only be 4 boats competing tomorrow. So the entirety of live will be just 4 teams.
Yeah, so you guys can watch us live. They're live streaming the whole event, 7:30 to 2:30. I mean, it's going to be entertaining because, like, even with there only being 4 teams, they're not going to be fish catching the entire time. So there's going to be a lot of dialogue between the anglers, a lot of joking around, a lot of just, I feel like it's going to be pretty entertaining for the viewers. So for us to move on to the next round, we have to be one of the top 2 teams out of the 4. And if we move on to the next round, we potentially would get to fish against our roommates who are arriving later today, Spencer Sheffield and Matt Becker, who honestly, they won't stop talking about how they're going to beat everybody up in this.
The entire
it's gotten a little over the top, the amount of just trash talking that the Brownie boys are making, and I want nothing better than just to show my boy Hank right here that we can take the Brownie boys out.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, like, there's joking, there's jest, and there gets to a point where it's just plain personal. Like, it feels like an insult on our angling ability.
Even their wives are making fun of us.
It's gotten really bad. Like, full disclosure, I think they're still in New York right now, so I'm going to say this, in full hopes that they're not around, but it's gotten intimidating. Like, we are legitimately fearing for our own safety. I'm glad we don't have boats here because they might be manipulating them overnight. Like, this has gotten out of hand, and they might just have to be put in their place.
Yeah, and there would be nobody better than us to put them in their place. But we have to move on from the first round first before we even have a shot at them. And honestly, I don't even know that they're going to make it out of the first round. So, like, if we make it out of the first round,
I mean, they might, but
we can coast from there.
Yeah.
But we've got some really stout competition. Like you were saying, Cole Floyd is actually not far from here, so he's probably got quite a bit of experience on this body.
He's got to have some Erie experience, even if it's not here. He's got to have some Erie experience for sure.
So what do we want? If we fish, would we rather fish Presque Isle Bay?
This float has lemonade in it, just for reference.
Or would we rather fish Lake Erie?
Oh shoot! I don't have a coaster. Hey, can you give me a coaster?
Yeah, go grab one of the metal coasters up there.
Honestly, like, in terms of, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a dice roll because I feel like with the group we've drawn, if I wish to be shallow, I'm making a poor decision. If I wish it upon us. But, thank you. But the other part of it is, like, if you wish for the lake, you're kind of putting your eggs in a basket hoping that you figure it out in your 6 hours of work, because I mean, if there is one place in the country where it is hard to just jump out and get on them, it's the main lake of the Great Lakes. When you're not talking about like Clare or Ontario or Sturgeon or somewhere that's unbelievably good, when we're talking about somewhere that's just like decent, which from my understanding of Lake Erie, if we get put on the big lake, that's kind of what it is. It's all right. And 6 hours is a tight time constraint. But in my opinion, I'm hoping for the lake. Gives us a little bit of an advantage, and if we can land on them, I think we can put some distance.
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna be it'll be really interesting to see where they tell us we can fish tomorrow. You know, I feel very confident we can perform wherever it is, but with the shallow water fishing gurus that are in our group, I do think, you know, with you being an offshore nut and me having quite a bit of Great Lakes experience, I think we potentially would have a little bit of an uphand, you know.
We'd be done fishing by noon.
I mean, I didn't want to say that, but I mean, maybe 11:30, like, you know, 12:30. I mean, the reality is, like you said, though, the problem is and neither of us have ever fished here, but I do not believe that the smallmouth fishery in this part of Lake Erie, because they're not going to let us make big runs. If
No,
we fish
it'll be a
properly.
pretty tight
Yeah.
zone, which means that like you're kind of hoping the zone lands on the fish.
Yeah, so you're not going to be able to go, like, it's not like everybody's going to go catch a pile. I think you potentially can catch a bunch if you pick the right spot. But it really could be, it could be much more like we talked about. If you're out there, you could be zeroing for the first half of the day and then leapfrog all the way to first because you found the spot.
Yeah.
If you were fishing the bay, you're going to need to keep pace because all those guys are going to be catching.
Because it's just going to be steady.
Yeah.
It's not going to be like land on them and just smoke them, I don't think. But to be honest, I mean, have you ever been on this fishery? Like,
I don't.
Have you been on anywhere within 60 miles of here?
If you asked me to draw a map of like what this part of the lake looked like in Presque Isle,
that would have been something fun
that.
to do. Would have been get a piece of paper
It
and
would
like
have
draw the playing
What does
field,
this place look like?
and then compare it once we see it tomorrow.
I would have
sure.
drawn Sandusky Bay.
I don't know. I mean, it's gonna be a super fun tournament. Like I'm really trying to I'm going to attempt to balance the competitive side with like the ability to enjoy it. But really, I mean, the competitive side has to be a part of it because here you're only guaranteed 6 hours of fishing. Like we're only guaranteed tomorrow.
I didn't drive all the way to.
I did not drive all the way here
Pennsylvania for one day
to fish for 6 hours.
And there's a giant trophy. Like
there
it's
is
a
it's
legit
tremendous.
championship
Like
trophy.
It's probably taller than the frame, but it gets.
It looked
probably,
heavy.
it's a big giant cup.
Yeah.
And it's
We
sick.
want that.
Yeah, we really want that, and to give ourselves the ability to continue on and keep fishing. It's just more money as you advance rounds, and it's that chance at that big old cup. And
Straight up bragging rights, dude, for this.
Yeah,
It really is.
I mean, if it's bragging rights for you, I will gladly take your half.
Well, I told you, with me probably not being able to fish the PPT next year, I want nothing more than to take that damn trophy home with me.
Dude, that would be sick.
And for you won at the invitational level this year, the BPT level this year. Let's add a third win at the team series.
That would be tremendous.
We want trophies. We like trophies.
Trophies are awesome. I love trophies.
If you guys want to watch us hopefully go after this trophy successfully, watch the live stream. It starts at 7:30 tomorrow. Yep. If we all week's live stream. So if we make it past tomorrow, I think we fish Thursday, Friday, Wednesday. The boss is telling me
if you finish in first, you fish Wednesday. If you finish in second, you fish
really?
Thursday.
Okay. All right. Well, just stay tuned. Just root us on, people. You can watch us. MajorLeagueFishing.com. Thanks for watching. We appreciate all of the support and the well wishes.